11:40 at night. The bathroom light is off, but the little bulb over the mirror is on. And you are standing at the sink for a reason that has nothing to do with brushing your teeth. Maybe the phone call went badly. Maybe you spent 40 minutes staring at the ceiling and gave up. Either way, you turn the cold tap, cup both hands, and bring the water up to your face. Cold hits your forehead. Your cheeks pull tight. You take a small, sharp breath you never decided to take. And you hold your hands there 1 second longer than you need to. Nobody taught you that move. It is not in any book. But people in movies do it before the hard scene. Your father did it. You do it. On nights like this one. Somehow, the whole human race settled on the same gesture for pulling itself together. Long before anyone could say why it works. Here is the short answer. And you get it now. Not in chapter 5. Within about 30 seconds of that splash, your heart rate can change. Measurably. The first part of you that takes the call is not your skin. It is your heart. And the strange part is this. Cold water on your hands cannot do it. Only your face has that kind of pull. Why your face is wired differently from the rest of you. And what that wiring means when the heart on the other end of the line is past 50. That is, tonight. Try a small experiment in your head. Plunge one hand into a sink full of cold water. It is unpleasant. Your fingers ache. You pull the hand out. You shake it off. And your heart barely looks up from what it was doing. Now the same water, the same temperature, on your face. The whole building pays attention. Same cold. Different address. The difference is wiring. And it is worth 2 minutes to see how yours is laid out. The skin on your forehead, around your eyes, and down both sides of your nose is some of the most crowded real estate on your body. Packed into it are thousands of nerve endings that report to a single heavyweight, the trigeminal nerve, one of the thickest sensory cables in your head. Most of your skin sends its news up the spinal cord, where it waits in line with everything else. The face skips the line. Its cable runs straight into the brainstem. The oldest office in the whole operation. The floor that manages your heartbeat and your breathing without ever asking your opinion. Think of your face as a front door sensor wired into an old emergency circuit. The circuit was installed long before you moved in. You have never seen the panel, but the wire is live. And it has been live your entire life. Where does a circuit like that come from? From the water? Seals have it. Whales have it. When a diving animal goes under, cold on the face throws a switch. And the body drops into survival housekeeping. The heart slows to stretch the oxygen. Blood pulls in from the edges and guards the core. Humans kept a working copy of that switch. Splashing water at a sink taps into some of the same neural circuitry involved in the human diving response. That is the honest way to say it. The dramatic version. The one where cold water tricks your brain into thinking you are drowning. Oversells it. And tonight is not in the overselling business. One detail makes this worth remembering. Researchers have watched this response in babies only a few months old. Put gentle cold on an infant's face, and the little heart eases off. Right on cue. Nobody taught that baby anything. The switch came with the house. You did not learn it in your 50s, and you did not lose it in your 50s. It has been riding along the whole way. And here is something to hold on to for later. After 50, the part of this story that changes is not the part you would guess. So the wire is real. The switch is real. And it answers to one patch of skin. The next question is what actually happens when you throw it. The answer runs on a clock. It is over in about half a minute. And researchers have timed every step of it. Let us go back to the sink. This time we count. Same bathroom. Same 11:40. Your hands come up. The water lands. And we slow the whole thing down to watch it frame by frame. Second 0 to second 2. Thousands of cold sensors across your forehead and around your eyes fire at once. And they fire together, which is the part that matters. One cold fingertip is a memo. A whole cold face is an alarm. And you already know the sound your body makes when that alarm goes off. Because it happens in your chest before you can stop it. That small, sharp breath, you have taken it 1,000 times at a cold sink. And 1,000 times you never asked why. That breath is not a decision. Nothing about it waited for your permission. And that is your first proof that this signal is not being handled by the thinking part of you. Second 2 to second 5. The report races down the trigeminal cable into the brainstem. And it does not wait for approval from upstairs. The cortex, the office where you keep your opinions, gets its copy of the news. But the order goes out before you have had time to form a single thought. The word cold has not even finished arriving in your mind. And the brainstem has already acted. Second 5 to second 30, the order travels on the vagus nerve, the big nerve that acts as the brake line to your heart. And vagal traffic climbs. Your heart gets the message and eases off. Fewer beats per minute. Right there at the sink. In a healthy person, often within half a minute. Researchers have leaned on this response for years as a simple way to probe the automatic side of the nervous system. They call it the cold face test. A folded cold cloth on the forehead and eyes. A timer. And a heart monitor. Your bathroom habit has been quietly moonlighting as a research tool. Now hold on. Because this is where the story you have heard goes one way and your body goes another. While the heart is slowing, the blood vessels out in your arms and legs are doing the opposite. They are tightening. Blood is pulling in from the edges toward the middle. Guarding the heart, the lungs, the brain. Which means your blood pressure is not floating gently down. It may hold. And it can even rise. At the exact moment your pulse is dropping. Read that again. Because the wellness version of this story never mentions it. The slow heart is not your body relaxing. It is your body running an old oxygen budget. Spending less at the pump while it locks down the warehouse. Your accelerator and your brake are not always taking turns. Sometimes the body presses both pedals at once. Any man who has held a truck steady on a steep gravel driveway knows exactly what that is. Control. And that is the true face of this reflex. It is a survival program. Calm on one gauge. Braced on another. And it is far more interesting than the spa version they sell you online. There is a piece of this you can try for yourself. Tonight, and it costs nothing. Sit quietly for 2 minutes. Put 2 fingers on the inside of your wrist and count your pulse for 30 seconds. Write the number down. Now soak a washcloth in cool water. Wring it out. Lean back. And lay it across your forehead and eyes for 30 seconds while you breathe normally. Take it off and count again. Some people will watch a few beats disappear from that second count. Some will see no change at all. And both results are normal. Because this reflex runs stronger in some bodies than others. If yours shows up, you will have caught your own dive reflex in the act at your bathroom sink. One sentence before anyone tries it. If you have a heart condition, a rhythm problem, or you take medication that steers your heart rate, keep reading first. Because there is a chapter ahead that was written for you. And your version of this experiment lives there. So the machine at the sink works. The wire carries. The brake engages. And for many people, a simple pulse count could prove it. But a meter cannot touch the real reason you were standing at that sink at 11:40 at night. You were not there to change a number. You were there because some part of you knew the water would change how the night felt. Why does 30 seconds of cold feel like somebody just restarted your whole day? That question has a real answer. And an honest one. And they are not quite the same size. 2:15 on a Tuesday afternoon. The phone call is over. And it did not go well. Maybe it was the insurance company. Maybe it was your grown son. And the conversation ended in that flat tone that sits in your stomach like a stone. You walk to the bathroom. And you are not there for any of the usual reasons. You run the cold water, throw 2 handfuls at your face, and stand there gripping the sink, dripping, looking at yourself in the mirror, and something lets go. The call is still the call. The stone is still there, but the heat behind your eyes has dropped a notch. And for the first time in 10 minutes, you can think in full sentences. Everyone reading this has stood at that sink. So let us take that 1 minute apart and sort out what was real. What is probably real? And what got invented by people selling you something? Start with what a machine could have proven. The cold hit your face and your nervous system answered. The same way it answered at 11:40 last night. The sharp breath came. The brake line to your heart carried traffic. Instruments could have watched it happen. The same automatic response you have been reading about all night. Firing on schedule in an office bathroom on a Tuesday. But the part you actually felt, the part that made the mirror easier to look at, is simpler than any of that. And it deserves its due. For the 10 minutes after that call, your head was a locked room with one angry thought pacing inside it. Around and around. The same sentence. The same tone. The same replay. Cold water on the face is a loud knock on that door. A sudden, strong sensation grabs the microphone away from whatever was holding it. Because the body outranks the argument. It always has. For a few seconds, the pacing stops. And sometimes a few seconds is all anyone needs to get their footing back. From there, it is fair to wonder how far this trick can be pushed. And it has been pushed. There are therapists who teach a stronger cousin of this move. Cold applied to the face. As one tool for riding out an overwhelming moment. So the idea has professional company. But watch the gap between 2 very different sentences. A cold splash can interrupt a bad moment. That sentence holds up. Cold water treats anxiety. That sentence does not. And nobody honest will sell it to you. The distance between an interruption and a treatment is the distance between a knock on the door and a new house. So tonight, you will hear no claim that this resets your nervous system. And no claim that it washes stress out of a person like soap. Anyone using those words is standing far past the edge of the evidence, waving at you to follow. What you actually own is smaller and better than that. A 30-second interruption switch, wired into your face, free for the rest of your life. On a bad Tuesday, a well-timed interruption is worth more than most things in the medicine cabinet. Now, everything said so far tonight is just as true for someone of 25 as it is for you. Same wire. Same break. Same splash. Which raises the question sitting in the title since the first minute. Is the after 50 part real? Or was it just bait on the hook? Straight answer. It is real. One thing genuinely has changed. It is just not the thing you would guess. And it is not on your face. Nothing magical happens to your face on your 50th birthday. The sensors did not multiply that morning. The wire did not thicken. The switch in the brainstem did not learn a new trick while you slept. If a video ever tells you that cold water turns into medicine the year you turn 50, that video is lying to you. and you should go find out what it is selling. Here is what did change: the equipment on the receiving end of the order. Think back to the chain from Chapter 2. Face, wire, brainstem, brake line, heart. That last stop, the heart and the miles of blood vessels around it, is the part of you that has been doing hard labor for 50-some years without a single day off. And over the decades, the automatic control system around it drifts. The natural beat-to-beat variation in your pulse. The little flutter of adjustments a young heart makes every second tends to flatten out. The pressure sensors in your arteries, the ones that fine-tune your blood pressure when you stand up fast, respond slower than they used to. The vessel walls themselves stiffen, the way an old garden hose stiffens, and a stiff hose handles pressure changes with less grace than a soft one. So, the honest picture is this: the reflex is still there. It is simply operating inside a cardiovascular system that is no longer the one you had at 25. Same driver, different truck. And inside that picture hides one genuinely good piece of news, which is rare enough in the physiology of aging that it deserves a moment. When researchers run the cold face test on older adults, the slowing response still shows up. The brake line itself, the vagal branch this whole story runs on, turns out to be one of the parts that keeps its strength better than much of the machinery around it. Plenty of the age-related drift in your pressure control comes from the other links: the stiff hoses, the slower sensors, and cannot be blamed on this nerve. That is exactly why researchers reach for a cold cloth when they want to check on the nervous system of someone your age. They are knocking on the door most likely to still answer. Which brings us to the safety talk. And it comes once. And it comes straight. Because Chapter 2 made a promise to some of you. There are two very different moves hiding under the words cold water on your face. And they are not the same size. The first is the one this whole video is about. Cool water from a tap, splashed on your face, or a cool cloth laid over your forehead. That is ordinary face washing. A mild, brief nudge. Something your body has handled every day of your life. The second move is the one the internet keeps filming. A bowl full of ice water. Face plunged in. Breath held. That is a deliberate attempt to trigger the full reflex as hard as it will fire. Heartbreaking while vessels clamp and pressure climbs. All at once. On purpose. Those two do not belong in the same sentence. And a 60-year-old with 3 stents has no business finding out how the second one feels because a 20-year-old on the internet issued a dare. So, draw the line where it belongs. Ordinary face washing is one thing. Deliberately provoking a strong reflex is another. If you have coronary disease, a rhythm problem like atrial fibrillation, blood pressure that runs unstable, or you take beta blockers or other medication that steers your heart rate, then the ice bowl version and the wrist pulse experiment from Chapter 2 along with it goes on the list for your next appointment before you try it. And mention the medication in the same breath. Your doctor knows your heart. A video does not. And this one is honest enough to say so. And know this last distinction, because it closes the final loophole. Sudden cold over your whole body. The cannonball into a cold lake. The freezing shower on a dare. Sets off a different program entirely. Heart rate jumps. Pressure spikes. Breathing runs away from you. Cold on the face whispers to the brake. Cold everywhere at once stomps on the gas. A body past 50 should never confuse the two. That is the truth about the title. The water did not change. You did. And the reflex held up better than most of you. Now, About half the people watching tonight clicked for a reason that has not been mentioned even once yet. And they have been very patient. The skin, the pores, the promises living in the bathroom mirror. Their turn. Every bathroom mirror in America has heard the same three promises. Cold water closes your pores. Cold water tightens your skin. And the old one. The one your mother swore by. Hot water cleans deeper. Two of those are wrong. And the third one is backwards. And after 50, you deserve the actual score. Start with the pores. The story goes that warm water opens them like windows, and cold water shuts them behind you. It is a tidy story. And magazines printed it for 40 years. So nobody should feel foolish for believing it. But a pore is not a window. There is no muscle around it. No hinge. No latch. It cannot open on command, and it cannot close on command. No matter what temperature you throw at it. What cold water actually does is snug up the tiny blood vessels near the surface. And for a few minutes the skin sits a little firmer. So the whole face looks slightly tighter in the mirror. The look is real. The mechanism you were sold is not. And in a few minutes the vessels relax and the mirror goes back to telling you the usual truth. Which answers the second promise too. That tighter feeling after a cold splash is genuine. And if you like it, enjoy it. It costs nothing. The morning puffiness under your eyes can look less noticeable for a while too. Since tightened vessels make swelling, sit down a bit. But temporary is the whole deal. Cold water does not remove a wrinkle, does not rebuild what the years took, and does not turn back anything. The entire skincare aisle lives in the gap between a 10-minute effect and a permanent one. And it would very much like you not to notice the difference. Now, the third promise. And this is where the story flips on you. The most useful question after 50 was never what cold water does for your skin. It is what hot water has been doing to it. Skin past 50 runs thinner than it used to, holds water less stubbornly, and repairs its outer barrier slower. That barrier is a thin layer of natural oils. And very hot water strips it the way hot water strips grease off a skillet. Which is exactly why your hands feel tight and squeaky after washing dishes. Do that to your face twice a day for a decade and winter itch. Flaking. And that tight burning feeling after washing stop being a mystery. Cranking the tap to full hot because it feels thorough is a habit with a bill attached. And the bill comes due in February. So here is the one honest skincare sentence this video owns. Cold water is not a treatment for aging skin. But it is the gentler roommate. And after 50, gentle wins. Cool or lukewarm at the sink. Warm instead of scalding in the shower. And your face will thank you when the cold weather comes. No miracle. No turning back the clock. Just one small switch in the right direction. Sitting on the same tap you have been using all along. And that, honestly, is the cleanest way to say what this whole night has been about. Every promise got smaller when you looked at it straight. And somehow, what is left standing got more interesting. Time to go back to the sink one last time and count what is actually there. 11:40 at night. Same bathroom. Same small bulb over the mirror. Same man standing at the sink for a reason that has nothing to do with brushing his teeth. The night did not get easier. He turns the cold tap, cups both hands, and brings the water up. But watch it now. Knowing what you know. Cold lands on the crowded skin of his forehead, and thousands of sensors fire at once. The signal drops down the thick cable behind his face, past the office where his worries live, and lands in the oldest room in the building. A small, sharp breath catches in his chest. The same breath he took as a baby, before anyone had taught him anything at all. An order goes out on the brake line. And somewhere under his ribs, a heart that has worked 58 years without a day off eases up. Just a little. Right on cue. Over a plain white sink in a quiet house. The water never was medicine. It will not scrub out his arteries, iron his skin, or lift the stone that phone call left in his stomach. What it is turns out to be stranger than medicine. It is a wire the ocean left in his face a very long time ago. Still live. Still listening. Connected to more of him than he ever had a reason to suspect. Tomorrow night. Or some bad Tuesday afternoon. You will stand at your own sink and throw cold water at your face. The way you have 10,000 times before. This time you will know who picks up.